So in this video, we're going to look at methods of comparison. So ways of comparing things to other things. Now, the two types that we are looking at today are metaphors and similes. You would have come across these in literature, so most usually in novels or some texts we may have read in class. Even in Starlight, it would have been full of metaphors and similes. Now, we didn't look at them in detail this year. You would have touched on them last year, but I'm just going to explain them again, okay? Just so that we all know the difference between them. So both a metaphor and a simile is making a comparison between two things. What is a comparison? A comparison is comparing two things. So, comparing one thing to another, right? So I have one thing here and I'm saying that it is similar to another, all right? Now, the two ways of doing this are by using a metaphor, where we do not or without using the words like or as, right? So a metaphor is when you compare something to something else without using the words like or as. A simile is when you compare something to something else by using the word like or as, right? So when I was in school, the way I learned it was simile is a comparison using like or as. Metaphor does not use like or as, right? And this is very important for you to know the difference between those two words, especially in secondary school, okay? When you're doing English essays, we'll have to use those words a lot, okay? So metaphor, simile. The most important way to remember, the easiest way to remember it is simile, right? If you think simile, like as, and the metaphor isn't. So simile, like or as. And then what's the one that doesn't? It has to be the other one, metaphor. Simile, if your sentence does not have the word like or as in it, it is not a simile. It has to have one of those, okay? I'll write down a couple of examples to make it clearer. So I'm going to start off with the simile, okay? Because I just think it's a bit simpler. So an example for like might be, she danced like a ballerina. Now, she danced like a ballerina. What have I done there? I have compared she or her, we'll pretend her name is Sarah. Sarah danced like a ballerina. I'm comparing Sarah to a ballerina. Haven't I? I'm saying that she was like a ballerina. I'm comparing her to her dancing to that of a ballerina. Okay? And how have I done it? I've done it by using the word like. That means that this sentence is a simile. How come it's a simile? Because it has the word like in it. Now, not the type of sentence. If we saw a sentence, I like pizza. That isn't a simile. Yes, I know the word like is in it, but there is no comparison in the sentence. Here I am comparing her dancing, she danced, her dancing, to that of, or the dancing of, a ballerina, okay? I like pizza, that's a different like, all right? Like for comparison. So a simile with like is she danced like a ballerina, okay? Or the dog howled like a wolf. What am I doing there? I'm comparing the dog's howl to the wolf's howl, okay? Let's try one with as. Her skin, or his skin was as white as snow. Now, what kind of a sentence is that? His skin was as white as snow. That is a simile. How come? Because I have made a comparison between his skin and snow, And the way in which I compared them was by using the word as. So if in a sentence two things are being compared to one another, and if the word like or as is used in that sentence is a simile. Every other comparison where the word like or as is not used is a metaphor. Okay, so we're going to do 2 examples of metaphors now. I'm going to put a line down the middle just to separate these. So this side is simile and this side is metaphor. Okay, so metaphor is a comparison or comparing two things without using like or as. So, for example, a sentence I might write is, you are my sunshine. Now, you are my sunshine. What have I done there? I have written a metaphor. How come it's a metaphor? You might say, how is it a comparison? Well, look at what I've written. You are my sunshine. So in the sentence, I am comparing you to sunshine. Now, we cannot read these sentences literally, right? Metaphors, they're not literal. They're very descriptive, okay? Obviously, I am not, pretend someone was sitting beside me here, I am not telling them directly that they are sunshine, because we all know that a person can't be sunshine, right? That sunshine is from the sun. A person is a person. What I am doing is I am comparing the person to sunshine or to the sun. I'm basically saying, you are my sunshine. You are like a ray of light. You are a brightness in my day. You light up my life, that kind of thing. Okay? So a metaphor, an example of a metaphor without using the words like or as is, you are my sunshine. Okay? Another one. Sentence you could see or you may see is, his eyes were ice. His eyes were ice. Now, realistically, does that make sense? His eyes were ice. Could the man's eyes actually be ice cubes? Not in the real world, okay? Maybe in our narratives, but not in the real world, okay? So, what is this sentence doing? This sentence is a metaphor. It is metaphorically comparing him, or this man or boy, not even him, it's comparing his eyes, his eyes, right? The eyes belonging to the boy. It's comparing his eyes to what? To ice. Why would it do that? What might that tell me? Well, think about ice. Is ice something really warm? Is it something you associate with relaxation? Well, or is it something that's quite cold and maybe something you wouldn't really want to touch or be around for too long? And obviously the answer is the latter. His eyes were ice. That might tell me that the man or the boy had a kind of an icy look in his eyes. He had cold looking eyes. Maybe he looked at me lifelessly, or he had a mean, sharp look about him. Okay? And the reason I know that is because this sentence has compared his eyes to ice. If he had said his eyes were balls of sunshine, for example, then I would think, God, this man had a very welcoming face, very inviting eyes. He seemed to be very much alive, and alive in the sense of he wanted to listen and talk to me and that kind of thing. Okay, his eyes were ice; they were cold. He was looking maybe kind of angrily. Okay, so that's the difference between the two of them. So to recap that very quickly, there are two types of comparison that we're looking at. There is a simile and a metaphor. A simile is when you compare two things using the words like or as. For example, she danced like a ballerina. She is being compared to a ballerina. His skin was as white as snow. As, right? His skin was as white as snow, comparing the skin to snow, the colour of the skin to snow, okay? And the metaphor is where you compare without using like or as. You are my sunshine. I'm comparing you to sunshine because you make everything better. You brighten up my day, etc. His eyes were ice. Comparing his eyes to ice. They were cold, they were unwelcoming, they were stern, not very pleasant. All right, so that's a brief breakdown of metaphors and similes. Now, if we look at the task that you have to do on page 185 of your book, so this is exercise F, writing skills, metaphors and similes. Metaphor describes something as if it were something else. A river of tears ran down her face. A wave of terror crashed over him. So a river of tears ran down her face. Now, realistically, a river is not running down this girl's face. But what I might be saying, or what this is metaphorically saying, or comparing it to, is that that she was crying so much that she could have filled a whole river with tears, that she was that upset, okay? Or a wave of terror crashed over him. A wave of terror crashed over him. Obviously, a wave isn't actually coming over him, but it's just to show you, maybe if you get the image of a wave in the sea and how much a big wave that surfers might like. Imagine if that was filled with terror and fear and it was about to fall down on top of you. It's just giving you a comparison. It's comparing it to that level of fear, okay? So what you guys have to do for the first section is write out the meaning of each of these metaphors. Now, I'll just show you the first one. He's my knight in shining armour, right? So what you have to do there is figure out what part of this is the metaphor, okay? What is the comparison? What am I comparing to what? I'm comparing him to a knight in shining armour. There's no like or as in this sentence. Hence, it's a metaphor. So I'm comparing him to a knight in shining armour. What's a knight in shining armour? You would have heard that from fairy tales and reference to it in Shrek and that kind of thing, all right? So what you have to do there is write out the meaning of each of these metaphors. He's my knight in shining armour. What could that mean? I might write something like, if I was to write out what it means, I might say something like, he saved me, or he's my hero, something like that, okay? Because that's what I'm comparing this person to a knight in shining armour, which is it's a metaphor for someone coming in and saving the day, okay? And then for the second part, a simile compares things using like or as. For example, he ran as quickly as lightning. She sang like an angel. Write similes to describe the following, right? So you just have to finish off the sentence. The first one, the feel of sand beneath your feet is as soft as, The sound of waves crashing on the shore is as loud as, The taste of ice cream is like, And the warmth of the sun on your skin is like, Right? And that's all you have to do.